Today's episode is all about celebrating. Celebrating you, celebrating me, celebrating midlife. So buckle up, this is going to be a fun ride. This is the Roller Coaster Podcast. We are here to help you be empowered and renew your sense of purpose as a midlife mom. This is your time to redefine and reclaim your power as a woman. Just because our kids are getting older doesn't mean that our lives still don't have crazy twists, turns, ups and downs. And that's not to mention what our hormones are doing. We're navigating helping our kids plan their next chapters while quietly wondering, what the heck does my next chapter look like? My name is Lucy Q, wife, mom, podcaster, and journaling mentor. This is a crazy time in your life, but you are not alone. So I'm inviting you to throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby.
Welcome to the Roller Coaster of Midlife. I'm your host, Lucy Q. This is the 300th episode, and I am thrilled to be celebrating with all of you today. This is a major milestone for me, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you who has joined me on this journey and this crazy-ass ride known as midlife. I do have another reason to be celebrating, because my 50th birthday is just around the corner, and I'm actually really excited to turn 50. Yeah, you heard me. That's because I've come to understand just how powerful we are in midlife and what an incredible journey this can be. You might not feel it right now, but I know that you too can embrace midlife and start your own incredible journey. Today I'm going to take a look back to where this all began, the journey to where I am today, and what I've done to get here. Now, this isn't meant to be a brag session, and in hearing my story, I do ask that you remain open to what is possible for you. And make sure you stay until the end, because I have something just for you. This all started with what many people call a midlife crisis, but I don't like to use that term because it feels too hopeless, and it also has a lot of negative messaging around it. I prefer to call it a midlife meltdown, because while things change, we have the opportunity to create something new from what was. It is heartbreakingly all too common for women to experience a midlife meltdown. Often, they either don't understand what's going on, that was me, and or they feel guilty for the way they feel, also me. Either way, there's a tendency to hide our true feelings. I definitely did that. Let's face it, most of what we hear about perimenopause and menopause is a list of symptoms that we need to cure or endure, and it's completely void of the emotional and spiritual aspects that often go hand in hand with our midlife years. My meltdown hit me 6 years ago when the emotional upheaval of midlife turned my life into a hot mess. The tipping point for me was getting our son ready for university, which he was going to be attending out of town. Everything seemed upside down. I didn't know if I was coming or going. My thoughts raced to all kinds of crazy places. I felt extremely emotional, scared, overwhelmed, anxious. I remember sitting at my son's high school graduation. Dozens of families gathered in the auditorium, and me sitting there with tears streaming down my face. I couldn't stop them, and I didn't understand why. I looked around at all the other moms, and they all seemed fine. So that made me feel crazy, and I felt completely alone. Soon, I started questioning who I was beyond being a wife and mom, and not having those answers made things even worse. Later that summer, I realized that I had hit a fork in the road. I could either stay where I was and lose all sense of myself, or I could find the courage to forge a new path. I thought about my husband and my kids, and all that we had together, and I knew that I had to find my way back. I wasn't exactly sure what that path forward looked like. I just knew that I had to find my way. And something told me that it wasn't going to be easy, but it would be worth it. So for the first time in a very long time, I let my thoughts wander and dream about who I could be, what I could do. I dared to ask what was possible. And with a few vague ideas, I began to create a vision of my future self. I explored questions like, who was she? How did she think and spend her time? I'd always dreamed of ditching the 9 to 5, but what would that look like? How would any of this be possible? To answer those questions, I had to dive even deeper. I had to explore who I was now, because the me of that day wasn't the same me of 20 years ago. I had to look at what I wanted for my future beyond being a wife and mom. I ended up creating some tools that helped me start taking those first few baby steps. And I kept working at things. And eventually, I started thriving and becoming that badass that I always knew that I was. Now let's tie this all together, because the reason why I've been able to grow this podcast to 300 episodes and release a guided journal, Your Journaling Journey, on Amazon, and, I'm going to save that third thing for a bit later. But following my dreams has come down to connecting with my passion, my purpose, and then fueling it all with my why. I consider myself just another mom next door. You and I, we probably have a lot in common. We've likely cried the same tears, had the same questions and fears, and felt the same craziness that midlife brings. And there have been several things that I've had to face and overcome. I had years of baggage to unpack and head garbage to get rid of. And all of that inside shit had to be worked through. The first thing that I had to tackle was getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yes, the good old comfort zone. We all have them, and sometimes we can get stuck in them. Our comfort zone is where we feel safe and familiar. My comfort zone, it was like a warm blanket that snuggled around me as I binged my favorite shows, sipping my glass of red wine. This is where my first big lesson came in. I quickly had to learn that cozy warmth isn't where I would grow. And it was holding me back from living my best life and following my dreams. I did also get to learn that some really cool shit can happen just outside of our comfort zone. But just as I thought I was getting all brave and Wonder Woman-like, along came big lesson number 2. And this is when I got introduced to the itty bitty shitty committee, who always seemed to chime in, questioning if I could accomplish this, and who was I anyways to be dreaming those dreams? Who did I think I was? That shitty committee is what's commonly called our inner critic, and I had to take control of it instead of letting it control me. I don't know about you, but I think I am completely done with letting anything hold me back. I've let that shitty committee stop me for way too long. Basically, when it pipes up, it's up to me to turn down the volume and say, I'm doing it anyway. Then there's big lesson number 3. It's a really important thing. Ultimately, I had to have faith in myself. If I didn't believe in myself and my dreams, then who would? We need to trust that we have wings to fly, even if we're scared to take that first step. To build on my inner faith, I started by surrounding myself with positivity and the people who lifted me up and believed in me. At times, That meant not sharing my dreams with people that would only shit on them. I also found that practicing gratitude and focusing on the things that I was thankful for gave me a really big boost. Oh, and I started celebrating my wins, no matter how small that they seemed. Most importantly, though, it all came down to taking action, feeling the fear and doing it anyways. I took the leap and I found my wings to fly. I knew that this path wouldn't always be easy because inner work never is, but it will always be worth it. Throughout this journey, I've been able to connect with my passion and purpose and tied it all together with my why. I've pushed myself to do things that I never thought possible, and I have grown exponentially. Don't get me wrong, I still got my fair share of shit bombs along the way, but the difference is that I've gained the resiliency to overcome those challenges instead of letting them pull me down. I still have hot mess days, but they're only days, and they don't get me stuck. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not sharing my journey to brag. I'm sharing it to show you what is possible. Honestly, if I can do this, then I know you can do whatever it is that you want for yourself. Now, remember that third thing I mentioned? It's a gift just for you. It's an audio program that I call 3 Steps to Go From Hot Mess to Badass and Start Rocking Midlife. This is where I dive into all of the steps that I took to rediscover my authentic self and to connect with those passions and purpose. These are the first baby steps that you can take. Remember, life is a journey, one that invites you to explore, be curious, learn, and grow. This transformative program is designed to empower you to rediscover, reconnect, and be that badass that you know that you are. You can pop over to my website, therollercoasterpodcast.com, and click on Start Here. Or you can check out the show notes for links. Midlife moms, let's celebrate and live life on our terms. We have so much to offer, and this is our time to shine. Let's own this amazing chapter of our lives and unleash our inner awesomeness. And remember, you don't need to ride this ride alone. That's why I started this podcast, to empower women just like you to thrive in this amazing chapter of our lives. So if you're feeling alone and like a hot mess, know that I'm here for you, and I completely understand what it feels like to be that hot mess. In fact, I want to hear from you. What has been your biggest struggle in midlife? How have you found your inner badass? Maybe you're stuck and you need to know that someone gets it. Share your story with me at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to have all of the links in the show notes. As we wrap up this 300th episode celebration, I want to thank you for joining me. Midlife is a wild ride, and it's also a time of growth, discovery, and owning who we truly are. Let's continue this ride together. And until next time, keep rocking midlife, my badass midlife ladies. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creative.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby.